welcome to our latest episode of Better Humans at Work. Today's guest is Dr. Kisha Jones. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Now, do you prefer Kisha or Dr. Jones or something else?
Um, you could just call me Dr. Keisha. I'll call you Dr. V, and yeah,
Dr.
we'll go
Kisha!
from there.
I love Dr. Kisha. Okay, I love it. Well, today's guest is Dr. Kisha Jones, or Dr. Kisha, an industrial organizational psychologist, management professor, and founder of KS Jones Solutions. Through her company, she helps employees and leaders build intercultural competence, which we'll learn more about today, so they can adapt to cultural differences, improve communication, and collaborate more effectively across diverse teams.
Mhm.
Dr. Keisha has spent over a decade in higher education, teaching at Penn State and now at Florida International University, where she focuses on topics like recruitment, HR analytics, and managing workplace differences. Her research explores how identity shapes employee experience, from hiring and retention to belonging and leadership. And she's published in top journals and has been featured in outlets such as US News and World Report. She's here today to share evidence-based insights on how embracing cultural differences isn't just good people management, it's good for business. Dr. Keisha, welcome to Better Humans at Work.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love that introduction. That was so great.
I'll send it to you. You can have it.
Right, right. Love it, love it, love it.
Well, thanks for joining us today. I love having another IO psychologist on the episode on Better Humans at Work. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you
Mhm.
found IO psychology and ended up in this space?
Yeah. It goes back to high school. I was lucky enough to hear about IO psychology when I was in high school. And
Wow.
so I planned for a psychology degree. Like I attended Howard University for my
Mhm.
undergrad. So yeah, got right in my freshman year. I did like AP statistics. And so I was able to like apply a credit and kind of get started. And I had a professor invite me to her lab my freshman year because I was in her more her advanced stats class. And yeah, at the time I was like, I'm as a psych major, you have to go to grad school. So I was like, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, I'll get my master's, start, working in organizations. And she's like, I think you could get a PhD. I think you have the skills. I was like, oh. Yeah. So I have to thank her for it, for, thinking big for me at the time. And so I was involved in research early on. I was able to be in this program. I'm not sure if it still exists, career opportunities in research. I really wanted to promote diversity in PhD programs in psychology and faculty. So I guess I'm like a success story in that regard. I was able to also do the summer research opportunities program at University of Illinois when I was going into my senior year at Howard, and then I ended up going to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign for my PhD in IO
Mhm.
psychology. So I started right out of undergrad, um, and initially I wanted to go into consulting. Along the way, I fell in love with research and wanted to go into academia, but always was like, okay, but I'm going to have a consulting company. I'm going to have or do consulting on the side. And so my first job was at Penn State. I was in the IO psychology program there. Now I'm in the management department at FIU, Florida International University. And so doing, similar work, similar research, um, teaching in the Masters of Human Resource Management program we have there. So yeah, just lots of, it illustrates all the applications we have of IO
Mhm.
psychology and kind of the diverse opportunities you have in pursuing that degree. But yeah, I launched KS Jones Solutions because I was like really feeling a calling to do applied work and enact change in organizations, and partner with them, not just for data collaboration opportunities, but to really, apply evidence-based work and see outcomes. And so I started it. I'm kind of going beyond your question, but I'm just thinking of yeah, just looking at the landscape around DEI and some of the challenges to it. And I was like, I just really felt strongly that there needed to be more focus on skills-based training. And so like there'd been a big push around awareness,
Mhm.
implicit bias, and all that is important and I think foundational. for us to, have that understanding, especially if it's new topics for us. Like the workplace is, for some of us, it's a new opportunity for that our organizations provide, because it's all in the service of, people working together. And, when we think about difference, it's not just race, it's not just gender, it's, social class, it's, region, it's, nationality and ethnicity, it's sexual orientation, gender identity, it's, yeah, and other preferences. So it's so broad.
It's
And
being a
so,
cancer survivor. It's being
yes,
an
disability.
alopecia
Yes,
casualty. Like I did a talk on
fully.
visible differences in the
Hmm.
workplace because people think gender and race right off the bat, but I lost my hair last year, and so
Hmm.
navigating being a bald woman in the
Hmm.
workplace, like especially
Hmm.
whenever most of my work is just my head, like this is
Yep.
all you get,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it's just been fascinating. And then, what if someone's in a wheelchair? What if
Hmm.
someone, it has a physical deformity, but otherwise there's
Yep.
nothing wrong? You know what I mean? Like, how do
Right. Yeah,
you
the stigma.
navigate
Yeah.
this in the workplace? Sorry to interrupt. I
Yeah.
just, yeah, that
No,
really.
no, no. Thank you for bringing that in.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, that perspective. Even with your example, with your own personal experience, you're providing a unique perspective, and all that gets to be leveraged and infused in order to improve. Not just the work outcomes, improve performance, creativity, profitability. Like we've seen all the
Yeah.
reports, from like McKinsey, Deloitte, all of them showing that companies that have diversity, they have better financial outcomes. And so all this is important, but we also know that it can come with conflict, it can come with some it can impact well-being, it can impact productivity and engagement, and retention, if we think, especially acknowledging the costs of replacing employees if they end up
Mhm.
deciding to leave. And so I was like, yeah, we have the awareness, we have the knowledge, but oftentimes it's like, okay, what's next? How do people apply it? How do people practice it? And so that's why, through with KS Jones Solutions, the focus is on intercultural competence assessment, training, and coaching, which
Mhm.
allows for that development. And with intercultural competence, you may wonder what that is. That's the adaptability, the capacity to adapt when interacting and engaging across difference, which is going to come from your knowledge of your own self and your identities and your experiences, and how that has impacted your perspectives and how you see the world, your expectations for interacting with other people, where you may do things a certain way, and you're expecting other people to engage in that same way, and when they don't, you're like, okay, what's going on? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Or you may feel excluded if maybe your way of being or your culture, and again, culture is broad and is represented across all the identities we discussed
Mhm.
before. All those have a culture. Gender has a culture. Like boys and girls are socialized differently. Like it's all of that's culture. It's not just ethnicity or race or nationality. But anyway, yeah, we're bringing all that into the workplace, and so having that awareness, ability to understand others and be open to others and navigate that, and be adaptable in that, that's going to be your intercultural competence, where that's something you're growing over time. And I also like the idea of it because it's representing, again, a skill that's developed over time, and everyone has a starting point. And so the first step is with the assessment, find your starting point, and then you're going to have, people who are at different points are going to have different ways forward. So you don't, a lot of diversity training, it's like, one size fits all. It's given to everybody. Maybe not everybody's ready to receive what's being given in that information because they're not ready, they're not exposed, or they're not, yeah, they're just not there yet. And so it's like, okay, this is a place to start. Let's, have a more unique plan for people in moving forward and developing that intercultural competence.
So in IO, we talk a lot about KSAs, KSAS.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so what I'm hearing is that the intercultural competence, like methodology,
Hmm.
um, it's more of the skill piece, the S. So like not as much as the knowledge or the attitude.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit to that? Like what does it all touch on?
Yeah, that's a great framing, because it's obviously going to be, there's going to be some overlap in terms of, like, knowledge and, attitudes. All that's going to maybe impact, how you develop intercultural competence, but it is something that's practiced. And so Yeah, people may be wondering like, how do you grow and develop? So some of really it's just going to be intentionally putting yourselves in opportunities to grow and develop and stretch. Okay, we all hear, the analogy. I know the late great Kathy Phillips. I know in some of her work she's used the analogy around thinking of our capacity for dealing with difference as like a muscle, where you go
Mm,
to the gym. There's going to be some pain. There's going to be some discomfort, but you still do it, you know? And so that comes from things like, yeah, the uncomfortable conversations or difficult conversations or yeah, just putting yourselves in new environments, intentionally talking with people who differ from you, asking them about their experiences, doing the self-reflection, like, okay, wow, I've learned a lot here, processing that, journaling, engaging in cultural activities. So really all of that. And that's something, a plan that our KS Jones Solutions is able to provide and offer to help with that. And certainly tied to workplace activities and engaging in work related, like whether it's your, getting involved in employee resource groups or seeking out other training. Because again, the skills around like, humility, cultural humility, like my culture doesn't, or my way of doing things isn't the end all be all. How do you gain that capacity for openness, perspective taking, the self-awareness, emotional intelligence, all that is going to be a part of it. And so at the end of the day, like, this is a great podcast to be on, better humans at work. This is like, helping people become better humans at work and better humans in general.
yeah.
There's going to be spillover effects, I think, to, yeah, other aspects of life, your other relationships, and other way, engaging with your community. But we're focused on the workplace here. Is certainly going to have impact there in order to, when we think about things like, giving performance feedback, when you're on hiring committees, like, really being able to question, understand your biases, question them, and engage in the best practices to overcome those biases. When you're leading and coaching your employees, like, even just thinking of yourself as a leader, it's like, this is necessary. And yeah, I did a project with the students in my class, in my diversity class this semester, where I assessed them, and then had them do a project related to their intercultural competence. But I'm like, you all are future leaders. This is only going to serve you in managing teams. And we always hear, what's the main reason people leave their jobs? It's like, oh, they hate their boss. And
Yeah.
so this is only going to serve people in becoming better leaders and becoming just more connection, more understanding, in order to meet the needs of their employees and, work towards the goals of the organization.
So, can you rewind a little bit and share
Hmm.
some of those core skills? So you said there's emotional intelligence in
Hmm.
there. You said, like, what are some other like core competencies that help?
Yeah, well, I've like, yeah, what I call like the speech framework. So yeah, the self-awareness, perspective taking, emotional intelligence, empathy, curiosity. So being curious about others, and then
Mhm.
the humility, that cultural humility. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like all those things. Again, they're going to make you better as a person, and that's something we could always grow. And even when you maybe get to higher levels of intercultural competence, you're going to need to still practice it and develop it to maintain it, and to have empathy and understanding of people who aren't at the point that you are, as well as the self-care and all that, in order to maintain that. And so, yeah, things like the self-awareness, perspective taking, emotional intelligence, empathy, curiosity, and humility are going to help with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the stat that, like, I forget the exact numbers, but essentially like 80% of people think they're self-aware, but actually it's like 3% or something.
That's
It's
a great. I
really
didn't have that, but yeah,
small.
I'm gonna use that, or yeah, look into that, because that's yeah, it's like, yeah, we know ourselves, we know our own perspectives, but there's a lot of blind spots. And I think
Mhm.
even if you think you're the most self-aware person, I think in being self-aware, if you're really self-aware, you're going to be able to acknowledge that, okay, there's some things that I'm missing
Yeah.
either way. And so in developing intercultural competence, that's an opportunity to, again, have that intention, take that intentional action, in order to develop yourself, get the other perspectives, talk to people, create opportunities for yourself in order to grow and expand in this. I think it's a priceless capability. I think it's priceless just in that it's so important. Like as humans, we're all about connection and belonging and and wanting to cultivate that in the
Yeah.
workplace. It's like this is going to just make everyone better.
I think so. My brain has been in
Mhm.
allyship because
Mhm.
that's the next book, and that's
Mhm.
and did I have I shared about my book with you?
You did a little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
you did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Two books in one because like the core
Right, right.
premise is that
Two
it's an
perspectives,
ally
right?
and a partner and two
Mhm.
two sides of of the same coin, you know.
Mhm.
But when I talk about what makes a good ally, I say it's someone who is curious. I say someone who's humble. And then
Mhm.
the third is courageous. But the
Yes.
curious and
Love that.
the humility, the curiosity and humility, that aligns like perfectly
Mhm.
with the intercultural competence work. And
Yeah.
so there's something there with being a good ally. And being a good ally does require high self-awareness and high emotional
Mhm.
intelligence, you know. And so there's
Yeah.
something there. Maybe we need to go in on like an article together or
Yeah,
something,
that would be awesome.
talk about allyship and the intersection of allyship and intercultural competence.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think yeah, and speaking to allyship, I think yeah, you're going to be a better ally with intercultural competence. You're going to be more understanding of the people that you want to be allies for. I think you'll be more effective in communicating, advocating for them on their behalf. Just yeah, I think that's only going to enhance the allyship experience. Not only the experience, but just the effectiveness of it. If you're
Yeah.
thinking of like, okay, what's the point of what I'm doing here? Yeah, it's going to help you and serve you in that.
And I think for the partner as well, like the person working with the ally, like to have intercultural competence, you're going to be able to see things from the ally's perspective too and
Hmm.
be like,
Hmm.
for me, this is a no-brainer, but I get how this is really hard for them, and
Yep, yep, yep.
this is a big step for them. And if I squash
Yeah,
it by saying it's not enough, then I'm not going to get the next big step from that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
strategic, it's long term. It's like I need to get to know this person, understand this person, so we can do the best work together. You know, it's a
yeah.
collaboration, and I feel
Yeah,
like
that's a great point. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's going to allow you to work more effectively together and get through some of those roadblocks. Because yeah, there's certainly challenges with allyship on both sides, and so
mhm.
yeah, helping to bridge the gap. And yeah, yeah, I think yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
So, for those out there that want to like learn more about intercultural competence,
Mhm.
like is there like a seminal book or article or like place to go to like learn more about this?
Hmm. Yeah, there's certainly yeah, there's articles yeah, not a book, but I'm just thinking of the
You
because the
should write a
framework I
book,
use
Dr.
in the I
Kisha.
know, I'm like, yeah,
You
yeah.
should write
No,
a
yeah, you're right.
book.
You're right, you're right. But because like the framework and the assessment tool I use, the intercultural development inventory. So that's Mitchell Hammer's work. So he has articles,
Hmm.
not in IO, but outside of IO. So again, speaking to that interdisciplinary ways that like we're studying similar things in parallel and let's bridge the gap and bring them over. So yeah, checking out Mitchell Hammer's work, as well as the IDI website.
Nice.
So yeah, intercultural development inventory website is going to be helpful. And then that's something I'm doing as well, like through my content that I'm planning to put out will also, continue to speak to that. So yeah, follow me on LinkedIn to learn more.
Yeah. I look forward to following you. So for
Yeah.
those out there now that just want to jump right in and
Hmm.
start cultivating more intercultural competence within themselves, like what would be
Hmm.
three ways to get started?
Yeah. So the best way is certainly to be assessed just to understand where you are. But outside of that, if you're just, yeah, what can I do today? It's really just engaging in those activities so that you are able to have opportunities and or create opportunities for you to learn more about yourself. So it could even be as easy as seeking out cultural events in your local area, reading books, journal articles, podcasts, not just journal articles, but yeah, articles in general. So reading, it can be, identifying people in your life, and whether it's in the workplace or, friends that differ from you in some way, and actually engaging with them about their experiences in that way that they're
Mm.
different. Yeah, I've had, and this is something that I've done. Yeah, again, just thinking of the people who have engaged in that project, even when they've talked to like their parents or their grandparents or their siblings or their partners. Again, they need to differ on at least one way, but they're like, yeah, I feel so much closer to them. I know them better because we never really talked about these things before, even
Mhm.
with people you've known all your life. Um, it's seeking out training and educating yourself as well. But yeah, I think the easiest ways is just to have conversations with people, just intentional conversations. um yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. It really is. It really is. And then finally, just your own self-reflection, thinking of like, okay,
Mhm.
where do I lie? What are my identities, and thinking intentionally about how have my identities impacted my life. Again, people, you don't yeah, that prompt, that actual like exercise, a lot of people don't really do. And so I think all of that is going to allow you to have a better understanding of yourself. It's like, okay, how did my upbringing impact me? How did my religious background impact me? What were
Mm.
the messages from my family? What about my culture? Did I even feel like I had a culture? Like in some ways you hear people say like, yeah, I don't really feel like I have one, but then you can also think about like, but yeah, what actually was there? Um, Thinking about how have these things impacted my workplace experiences? How did they even impact my career choices?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think that yeah, again, engaging in those intentional activities, talking to people in your life who are different, and then that self reflection. I think those are three key things that are going to help you advance, because yeah, it's so important. And I think what I'm saying sounds, not basic, but again, it's very accessible. But
Yes.
again, people don't really do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, just really take the time. It's so worth it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise today. For those that want to reach out and learn more or maybe work with you, how should they reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can go to ksjonessolutions.com. There's opportunity to maybe schedule a call if you want to talk more. Or you can email me there. I could also give my direct email. It's Kisha, Kisha, at ksjonessolutions.com. And then also follow me on LinkedIn. I'm always there. So yeah, those are the best ways.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise with our listeners. I look forward to following along on your journey. Mattingly Solutions is 5.5 years old, which is wild.
Wow.
I never thought I would
Congratulations.
be a business owner, let alone have a 5-year-old business. So,
Yeah.
but it's really fun and exciting to see someone at the beginning of their business journey. And
Yes.
however I can support you, like, please let me know because us female PhD entrepreneurs got to look out for each
Mhm.
other.
I appreciate that so much. Yeah, yeah. Let's do this together.
Well, thanks for all you do, Dr. Keisha, to help us be better humans